We are studying through the book of Acts. And one of the things that we talked about in our first meeting was how the story of the book of Acts is so much a story about some very simple people, fishers, people who a few pages earlier in the Gospels were betraying Jesus. They didn't understand what he was saying, and all of a sudden they were great leaders, miracle workers, and delivering long speeches to important people. So Acts is a story about simple people doing amazing things, and it's the story of the Holy Spirit empowering them and transforming them. But another thing that we talked about was how difficult some people found the reading to be. That it's hard reading. There are only a few pages, but it's hard to understand what's going on. And so it left me wondering, how can a story about simple people be so difficult to read? Shouldn't a story about simple people be simple? And I guess there are a couple of things that can make it more difficult. One of them could be the translation, that a lot of times we read the Bible in some arcane language. I've been reading the book of Acts from a bilingual New Testament. It's half in Spanish, half in English. My Spanish is really bad. So if I get stuck on the Spanish, I look over at the English. Unfortunately, the English is the King James Version. And so when I get stuck on the Spanish, the English is really no more helpful. There's also the issue of proper nouns, that if they talk about Pharisees and Sadducees, who are these people? Why don't they talk about Democrats and Republicans, or Gryffindors and Slytherins, or some other proper nouns that I might recognize? The culture was also very different. Jesus told a lot of parables that had to do with agriculture and tax collectors, and those, I relate to those things differently than his original hearers did. But another problem is just the concepts are just so bewildering. Talking about a community in the first chapters of Acts in which people daily saw, experienced, and believed in miracles, that they sold everything they had and held everything they had in common. And it's going to take a lifetime to understand something like that.